Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 180 of Build Your Stash and Craft. After doing the make your own glue video, I had quite a few requests and emails about could I do a glue video on what types of glues that I use and what I use them for. And so I figured since I didn't really have anything planned out for this week, we're not actually out shopping for the series, I thought I'm going to show you what I have. Now these things, some of them don't fit in the budget of the series, but some of them do if you use coupons, and some of them you might want to save for, and some of them you may not want at all. So I'm just going to show you what I use and what I use it for. So I think what we'll do to start with, I think I'll go through the ones that I do not use very often. And I'm going to start with, let's see here. This is Yes Paste, and this is an acid-free paste. It's a dry flat glue, and it, you definitely need to make sure you put the plastic wrap on it in order to get the top off. And then I'm not even sure if I can get the top off. There we go. Alrighty, so this is a paste, like, I'm not going to take the plastic wrap off, but it's a very thick paste, but it does not make your paper wrinkle. Now that's the great thing about it, and it's acid free, so that's another good thing about it if that is something that you are worried about. If you're doing scrapbooking or something like that with your pictures, that type of thing, this is a good glue for that. And I got this glue because I saw Shannon Green using this quite a bit, and I just had to have it. You're going to find out that sometimes you watch people and you think, I have to have that and I have to have that. You know, you really don't necessarily need to. That's kind of what this series is all about, is you don't have to have the stuff that everybody else has, and you definitely don't need to pay the prices. This thing of Yes Paste is like regular $20. That's expensive for glue. Now, like I said, if you have a real purpose for it, it's good. But you can see I haven't used that much, and I've had this for probably a couple of years now. So, so that is, it's a good glue for what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. I like the glue for the glue. I don't care for the price, and I don't necessarily think that it's just not something that I use very often. The next thing is 3D matte gel, and this one dries clear. And then the thing for your gels is if you're going to do something that's very 3D, you're going to be gluing a lot of stuff onto a canvas. You're building everything up. This has a very good hold to it. Your gels do. And these ones, they come out and you can, put it on there and stick something into it and it will grab a hold of it fairly well. So they work very well. Again, though, they're not necessarily real cheap, and I find that I have other things that I use that work just as well. So it is the gels are good medium to use, but just watch the price you have to pay. And if you really feel that you need some, make sure you use like a 50% off coupon or something, or find it on clearance somewhere or whatever, a really good sale, because they're expensive. Next one is Mod Podge. Now this is Mod Podge Sparkle, and I really do like the Mod Podge Sparkle because I like the way it sparkles on a page. Problem is, it's sticky. After it dries, it's sticky. So I really haven't used it in quite a while now because I really don't like the fact that I have to treat it on the outside with something different to get it to not be sticky. And whether that's put powder on it, which dulls it back, and or you could put another glue that dries not sticky on top of it, but hope that they go together. So so even though I like this, and if I'm going to use it for something that's like hanging on the wall or something, that's not bad because I'm not sticking, I'm not setting something on top of it. But then the other thing is that if it's still kind of sticky, dust and stuff is going to stick to it. So Mod Podge is not my favorite. Now I do think that they have a new Mod Podge that's not sticky after it dries, but I have not tried that. So in place of the matte gel, what I use is Loctite. And I get this at Lowe's or Menards, and this is an all-purpose interior construction adhesive. Now, you want to watch the adhesives that you use, but this works on wood, drywall, plaster, ceramic, concrete, masonry, brick, foam board, and cork. and it does not work on mirrors or marine applications, things that are going to be immersed in water. What I like about it is it's paintable, so if you use it and you want to paint over top of it, you can, and it's water cleanup, which is the thing. I hate stuff that's not water cleanup. And it's low odor. This really does not have a smell to it at all. And this is just a nice, thick white glue. And I used to use this all the time, but you know, it's just a nice thick white glue. So if you're going to do something where you want to do something 3D, you know, this works very well to hold on to it, and it holds real well. This is made for construction. It holds great. And I think that I paid between $3 and $5 for these. I'm not positive because it's been a while since I bought one, but I know I know when I bought it, I didn't pay more than $5 for it. But and you can rub it on your paper, and it doesn't make your paper get like all wrinkly like your wet glues do. So this is one of my favorite glues to use. So another one that I don't use often anymore, but I really like, is Diamond Glaze. And Diamond Glaze is just what it says. It's a glaze, but you know, it's an adhesive. But you use it to glaze things, and it gives you a really nice glaze like, oh, I can't think of the name of it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The one that you put it on there, and then you have to make sure it's level and let it dry. And it gives you a really nice glassy look. So does the Diamond Glaze, but the Diamond Glaze you paint it on, and I think it's like within 3 minutes or 5 minutes or something, you can paint another coat, let that dry a little bit, paint another coat, and then you have to let it dry. You have to paint it within a certain amount of time. You know, keep coating it until you're as far as you want to be, and then let it dry for like 24 hours before you put any more on it. So, you know, but this glaze works really nice, and this is actually the brush that I use to use that, and it is water cleanup also. And so what I did so that I would know what brush it was, this is just newspaper letters that are glued on here, and I used another brush to do it. But you know, I just went ahead and coated that, and I don't know if you can see the glaze on that, but I have used this probably for 5 or 6 years, and it's still in really good shape, you know, even, you know, getting wet and that type of thing. So, you know, it gives you a nice glassy finish. So I do like the Diamond Glaze, but what I use mostly now for a glaze is clear fingernail polish. It's cheap, it's small, it's not going to go bad before I use it up. I get it at the Dollar Tree for $1, and it also kind of works like a glue. Like I have used it to glue the little glass gems like this to paper, and I just put this on the back of the gem, put it on a piece of paper, let it dry, and it glues that paper to it, and it's nice and clear. So I really do like the clear nail polish, which is cheap. Now this is not super expensive. It's Glossy Accents. It's not as expensive as Glossy Accents, and it kind of does the same thing. But you know, this is a pretty good size bottle, and it was the only size bottle I could find when I went shopping for it. So you know, I don't want that to go bad, because glues you have to be careful of. The longer you keep them, the more chance you take that they're going to dry up on you. And so, you know, if you don't collect too many, which I think we all do, but you know, maybe this will let you know which ones you might want to try and might not want to try. And just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's not something that you're not going to love. You know, I'm just telling you what I use them for, and sometimes what I might use in a replacement. So I do like clear nail polish for clear coating things like this, and I'm getting a really nice solid clear look to it, and it also works like as a glue. And so I also use liquid super glue when I'm gluing, especially if I'm gluing glass to glass. Liquid super glue seems to work the best. Liquid super glue is not my favorite. I don't use it very often at all. And so if you're going to get super glue, unless you really know what you're going to use it for and you love it, try and find the smallest bottles you can. Because also, once you open them up, sometimes it's hard to get them open again. But liquid super glue, I don't use it very often, but sometimes I do use it like for glass. But even at that, what I usually use is, this is Fix-It-All adhesive from the Dollar Tree. This is super glue also. And this is a gel. And so this one I use a lot. And I use this for things that, like here. All right, these are some little, this is a little decoration that we made that you can like put in with flowers and that type of thing, and they just look pretty. They're quite expensive to buy. What we did was we just took a piece of fishing line and then just dabbed a little bit of this gel glue because it stays right there, and then just slid the bead onto it and put another little bit of the glue and put a bead on it, and just did that all the way down, and then just set them to dry. But you know, it holds really well considering it's a glass bead to a piece of fishing line. So and it stays where you put it, so that for something like this, if I were to put liquid super glue on the fishing line, it would really drip off before it would catch the beads. So I really do love the Fix-It-All adhesive. I use this quite often. Stick glues. You can get very cheap stick glues. This is from the Dollar Tree. This is also from the Dollar Tree. I like these ones because, well, see, this one's all dried up. See what I told you about, you know, getting too much glue all at once? We heat with wood in the wintertime, and I haven't used this since last fall, and it has dried up. But these are both very cheap glues, and they don't necessarily hold really well if you're going to use something that's going to maybe be bending or something. But they work great to hold things together. If you're going to sew like your tags or whatever together, they work great, and they're very, very cheap to hold that stuff together before you sew around the edges. So, you know, that's what these come in really, really handy for. And I use a lot of stick glue that way. And then this is photo glue, so this is acid free, and this is permanent. Now, if you want to use it to glue things together, that might be bending, like tags or something like that, a permanent stick glue, no matter what kind it is, a permanent stick glue will hold better than your super, super cheap. I mean, these are like $6 for $1 or $12 for $1 or something at the Dollar Tree. So you know it's a pretty cheap glue, but it is going to still hold, and I do still use them quite often, and I still buy them. But for something that I know is going to get used and moved and everything, and I know I'm not going to like sew it together or something, I use a permanent stick glue. So, let's see, white glue. White glue, one of my very favorite things. Just plain old, you'll hear people call this PVA glue, especially overseas. Here, you'll hear most people call it Elmer's glue. And this is just from the Dollar Tree, a 2-pack for $1. And the white glue is just, you can use it for anything that you want to use it for, really. The thing about it is, when you're gluing paper together, white glue like this normally tends to have more water in it, and therefore it makes your glue wrinkle more. So it's just plain old white glue. And I use this for decoupaging. I use this instead of Mod Podge. And what I do is I mix 2 parts of glue to 1 part of water, and just mix that together and use it exactly the same way as I would use Mod Podge. The thing is, when it dries, it's not sticky on top. So, and it's also a whole lot cheaper. And if I don't have Mod Podge, I've always got glue, so I can make my own, and I can make it up quickly. If you put it in a really good sealed container, I've never had a problem with it drying out. So, you know, white glue is just a great all around. Kids can use it. It's non-toxic. It's water cleanup. You know, it's a great glue to have around. And if you paint it onto a piece of paper a little bit thin, and you know, not with the water, but just the glue itself, if you want to glue things together, it doesn't get as wrinkly. And then take whatever it is, put it in a piece of parchment paper, and put it under a heavy book. Even if it got wrinkled from this, that will straighten it out quite a bit. So white glue is a great thing to have on hand. Tacky glue, I don't know really exactly what it is, but to me, tacky glue is like a really, really thick white glue. And so it doesn't make things wrinkle as much, but it still does make paper wrinkle. But not as bad as your just plain old white glue, which to me, maybe it's just because this has more water in it. I really don't know. But tacky glue is great because it is thicker, it dries faster, it catches a little bit quicker than your white glue. So, but I use both of those quite often. Fabri-Tac, And I used to use Beacon's 3-in-1. I just haven't seen it a lot lately. And to me, I think they're almost the same. I'm not even sure if there's a difference except for the bottle. But so if you find 3-in-1 cheaper, you might want to try a small bottle of it and see what you think. So, but the Fabri-Tac, the reason that I use this in a lot of my videos is because it grabs really quickly. And so when you're going through and you need to move on to the next step for a video, this one I know will grab. Like right now I'm waiting for a video. I'm like halfway through another video, but I'm waiting for things to dry, the glue to dry. So, you know, so the thing about this is it grabs quickly, and it doesn't necessarily dry a whole lot. It does dry quicker, but you know, but it just grabs right away. You put your stuff on there and it's going to stay. You can move on to the next step. So that is the nice thing about the Fabri-Tac. And this, like if you put it on fabric, it will bend. So, you know, like if you want to, like I made some wrist cuffs out of lace once that I saw Sonia make, and I used a regular glue the first time. Yeah, and when you bent it, it was like crunch, 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 crunch. So when you bent it around your wrist to snap it here, and I still even have a few of those left, and before I even put them on, I kind of like go like this and hear them crack to loosen them up so they're not stiff. So the Fabri-Tac doesn't get stiff, and it will like bend around your arm. So this is what I use for something like that now. If I want my fabric to move after it's glued, this will work the best for that. Then we have this, and I don't know where I got it. I think I got it at a garage sale, and I actually just started using this very shortly ago. I found it in my stash, and excuse me, and thought, well, I'm going to try it because everybody uses that glitter glue or whatever they call it. And I thought, this is bead and glitter glue, so this is by Americana. So I thought I'd try it. It works really well. It grabs as quick as the Fabri-Tac does, and it also doesn't make the paper get all wrinkly. So it has a nice little pointy tip on it. You can put it on there, and it doesn't get as wrinkly like if you're using a regular white glue. So this is, you know, this is a white, you know, it's white, but it's not the same as a white glue. It is definitely different. And you'll notice if you get on your fingers, you can feel the difference of this versus any other white glue. But this is a nice glue. I really do like this. I have no idea what this costs. And, you know, if I look up the price and it's expensive, I probably will never buy it again. But, you know, I got it somewhere. It came in something. So, but I do like it. Alrighty, then last glue. Hot glue. I use hot glue. But the thing about hot glue is the older it gets, when you've made something, the older it gets, it kind of starts to like dry up or whatever and release things. I used to make like fairy houses that like went up a stump and it had steps and all this stuff, and I hot glued it all because you put it on there and it grabs and you need it to grab. Well, after a while, a lot of those things started moving a little bit because the hot glue just didn't hold as well. And it's hard to deal with sometimes, you know, you burn your fingers, but things like this flower here, where I wanted to put these petals on one right after another, and, you know, they had to wrap around each other on the bottom. Well, putting a white glue on there and trying to do that and hold it is really hard to do. So things like this, where it's got to be, you really, really need an instant grab, the hot glue works great. You have to be very careful. Don't burn your fingers. There's nothing wrong with hot glue. I just don't use it that often. And sometimes if I'm going to use a hot glue on something I want to stick for a long time, I will like put glue, regular glue, on my project, and then leave a spot where there's no glue and put a little bit of hot glue there and then press my items together. The hot glue will grab it and hold it while the other glue is drying. And that way you've got your like your wet glue, like even your Loctite, or if it's wood or something, you know, you've got your wood glue, which is also another one. I use a lot of wood glue if I'm gluing wood. Wood glue is a great glue if you're gluing wood, except you have to be careful because it turns yellow. Excuse me. So, you know, hot glue is really good, and if you want to do something where you want things to grab quickly, this is a really good thing to use. And I use it and I like it. So then adhesives, other adhesives. So we've got double-sided adhesives mostly. Regular tape, I don't use very often. Masking tape, I use once in a great while in construction because you can paint over it, and you can also use it to make washi tape, your own washi tape. So masking tape is great. I use that quite often, but the regular cellophane tape, very, very rarely. I use the packing tape, the clear packing tape. I use that in my crafts, and you can use that. You can put a picture behind it and then burnish it on there really well, then put it in some water and rub the back of the paper off, and the paint from the picture will stick so that you wind up having a see-through, you know, a see-through project. So you can see right through it. And I love to do that with the packing tape. So you can also use your packing tape like here. I punched a butterfly out of a piece of black cardstock, and then I stuck the cardstock onto the clear packing tape. And then I painted it with mica powders, which is what you see here, the glitters, or you could even put glitter. And then I just glued another piece of cardstock on the back, you know, to kind of keep it all together. So that's a fun way. That is a fun way to use it also. And then you have a really cool little embellishment that you made. It's all yours, and those are fun to make. So let's see here. As far as double-sided tape goes, you'll hear a lot of people will call this red line tape. And this tape is double-sided. This is a construction type double-sided tape. The red part comes off, and this will hold just about anything. This will hold two pieces of wood together. I mean, unless you're trying to pull them apart or whatever, but this is a really, really strong, heavy-duty double-sided tape. It's not coming apart once you put it together. And then we have puffy tape. And puffy tape is just that. It's puffy tape that you can lift things off your project like this, where you have different layers, and you just layer it up, putting a little puffy tape between each layer to make it build up, and it just gives you a really cute effect, which actually you really can't see here. But you know, I have like 3 layers of the picture getting smaller and smaller as they go, and I just lifted each one up a little bit with the puffy tape. So those are really fun to play with, and you can get those cheap. You can get those at the Dollar Tree. Regular double-sided tape, you just peel it off, stick it on, and these white ones, you can just rip them with your finger. Red liner tape, you have to cut it with a pair of scissors, and it would be best if you have a pair of non-stick scissors, because they love to stick to your scissors and make a mess. So, and then once you do that, then you just go ahead and you peel off the top layer of the, I didn't get it, but you just peel off the top part, which if you use a little pokey tool, that will pull that up really, really easily. But you peel off the white part, and then you've got your double-sided sticky on there. Now, the thing about double-sided sticky tapes are, it's a dry glue, so it's not going to wrinkle your paper. I still don't think I got it. Oh, yes, I did. So that's a nice thing about it. And it works great to do things like layer a card together or something like that, or glue things together like that. But if you're going to make a pocket, if you make a pocket and you put your double-sided tape on there, and then you put your pocket on there, whenever you stick something in there, the edge of this tape is a little bit sticky when it's in there. And what's going to happen is you stick a tag in there, it will catch on that double-sided tape. So it's not the best to use for a pocket. Now you can take like a paintbrush and put it down in there with a little bit of baby powder on it, and that will help those edges to not stick to whatever you're going to put in there if you have used double-sided tape for a pocket. But that's the one thing that I find double-sided tape does not work well is for a pocket, because the edges still stick if you stick something down in that pocket. And then, you know, there's just all sorts of, you know, layering type. You know, these are double-sided tapes that I get at a recycle store. And, you know, this one works really well to make, what do you call it, like the shaker cards, you know, because it's got the thickness to it and it's a nice thin strip. And, you know, this one is a double-sided sticky circle and it's kind of thick. And I used that one. I glued the butterfly on here, then put parchment over top, and then I peeled off the parchment where the butterfly was because it wasn't stuck to anything because the butterfly was already stuck there. I even used another double-sided sticky to pop this little heart up off of here, you know, and then even just used strips on the back, and that's all because it's sticky on both sides. So, you know, you can, you know, buy sheets of double-sided sticky and, you know, use them for whatever you would like to use them for. But double-sided sticky works really great. You can, like this one here, I can die cut. Put it through the die cutting machine. At Christmas time, I die cut a whole bunch of like Christmas ornaments and put them on cards, and then put glitter on them, and it made a beautiful Christmas card. And it was just so easy. Just die cut it, stick it on the card, peel off the top, put glitter on it, and boom, you're done. You know, put a little sentiment on there. So double-sided sticky comes in big sheets. It comes in all sorts of things. But double-sided stickies work really good for all sorts of different things. And so, tape gun. Had to have one of these because everybody had one, and I will tell you, I have used this a lot. The one thing I find is that I made a whole bunch of books to hold my dies, and the cover I just used this, and you just push the button, run your tape, and then before you lift it up, let go of the button, and then when you lift it up, it will rip. So it's still right there, and you've got your tape where you want it. Otherwise, it stretches and it kinks and it makes a mess. So don't forget to let go of the button before you lift it away from your paper. But this works really good. But I did find that on my cardstock that I had folded around the corner of a book, and I used this to tape it down, after a while, it started lifting up and I had to glue it. So this is not... it's not heavy duty like this is, where it's going to grab and never let go, but it still works great, and boy, is it easy to use, and it goes a long ways. You know, the refills are not super cheap, but they do go a long ways. So the things that I really love when it comes to adhesive. Oh, and these are glue dots, and they're okay. I really don't use them that much, but these are removable dots, and the one things I use this one for, this is the only one that I actually like, is that I will stick these, like, let's say put 6 of them on a piece of cardstock, and then put down 6 little embellishments on top of them and send them out in Happy Mail. Then when the person gets them, they can take them off the paper because these are removable dots. So they don't stick it on there permanently, they'll come off. And that's what I use that for, and that's the only time I ever use sticky dots. So double-sided tapes and double-sided foam tapes. I love them. I use them. And, you know, those are something that I would not want to be without. The Fabri-Tac, I do use it. I like it. But the cost-wise, I only buy it at 60% off. When I get a 60% off coupon from Joann's, that's the only time I buy it. And it really is quite expensive, but it dries quickly. Anything heavy-duty, anything that's, you know, misshapen or whatever, Power Grab, Loctite from the hardware store. Make sure that you get water cleanup, because the water cleanup ones normally don't smell. Look at the back and see what it says. Make sure that it's paintable, because you may want to paint it once you've glued something down. Make sure that it's water cleanup, and then low odor is great too when you're talking about some kind of a construction adhesive, because some of them can smell really bad. Tacky glue, I use it all the time. PVA glue, use it all the time. Love to use it as water glue. Stick glues, love them. Permanent for something that I want to be permanent. Non-permanent for anything that's going to be sewn or is not going to be handled a lot. The Fix-It-All adhesive from the Dollar Tree, which is a gel super glue. Any gel super glue, it doesn't have to be this name brand. Works great. I like this bead glitter glue. Like I said, I have no idea how much it costs, and I wouldn't pay a lot of money for it because we have all of these other things that you can use in its place. So, and then I did actually take some of the Loctite and I put it in a little tiny nose bottle to see, and I put water in it because I put it in here originally and it wouldn't come out. So, but I put some in here and it is coming out now. So I'm going to see if it, I probably should wipe it off. I'm going to see if it actually is going to stay in here or if it's going to dry up on me or glue my lid shut or something, because I just did that today. But, but that is the other thing too. Now see, this one, because I put water in it, it's not really, by putting it in this bottle, it's not doing what I want it to do, because this right here is so dry, it doesn't really wrinkle my paper. So that's what I was thinking was, it would be really cool to put it in here, because then it would work like this. But it won't come out this little teeny tiny nozzle because it's so thick. So I might try it. So then I watered it down so it would come out, but now it's going to be not as heavy duty as this, and it's also going to be wetter, so it's going to wrinkle my paper. So this was kind of like I shouldn't have done it. And just another tip, this was a liquid masking pen, and I was at Hobby Lobby, and I think I got them for 50 cents a piece. I took the liquid masking, dumped all of it into a jar, and sealed it well. And then I had all of these fine liner tubes, and I got them for 50 cents a piece. I think that you can get these at the time. I think that they were 2 or 3 for like $10. They were very expensive at the time that I got these. So, and I think that maybe you can get them cheaper now because everybody really wants to use them. So I think others have started making them and selling them. But think about it when you see something. Like I said, this was 50 cents. I do use masking fluid. So, I could use the masking fluid that was in there, but I really wanted the bottle. And to me, it was worth 50 cents for the bottle, even if I wasn't going to use the masking fluid. So always remember to look at things that way too. So, I do like diamond glaze. And I do like to use this, and it works really well, like for jewelry or whatever. Mod Podge, I find that it gets sticky. It's not my favorite. 3D matte gel, I find this to be a whole lot cheaper. And the Yes paste is great for certain things, but really, I shouldn't have bought it because I really don't use it. And that's the thing. You have to think about the fact of, are you going to use it? Are you really going to use it, or do you just want it because somebody else has it? And liquid super glue, I don't really hardly use that at all. I really just don't care for it. So, but thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. I hope that this was informational enough. And, like I said, and I'm no kind of expert or anything on any of these. Is just my opinion. They wanted to know, what do I use and what do I use it for? So I thought that I would just go through and see what I had, and just let you know what I thought about, using those products. So thank you very much again. I really do appreciate you stopping by, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.